Hello and welcome to episode 105 of No Load Time. My name is Obed Velez, and with me is the most interesting man in the world, Joel Young.
What's good, No Load Time? Good to be with you again, my friend Obed. It's gonna be a good episode today. Man, we keep on coming with different stuff here. You know, last week was a really good, heavy gaming episode. I think we're gonna have a lot more to talk about today. Some interesting developments on the Sony front in both their film and gaming division. Can't wait to get into it with you, Obed.
Yeah, man, and some news on E3 as well, and a couple of things that I forgot to talk about from Tokyo Game Show. I want to just touch upon
Yeah.
a little bit. But Joel, how you doing, man? Good to see you, bro. I haven't seen you all week.
I know, man. It's good to see you too, right? This is a great time for us to catch up, my friend. Things are going pretty good on my side. I made it out last week, last minute decision to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Obviously, I've mentioned it before on the podcast. I had gone to an early preview of it. The land's been open. Wait times have been fluctuating. We had the hurricane, so that was something that a lot of locals took advantage of, and went out there when most of the tourists flew back home and no one was there. Locals just kind of went in. So I heard short wait times there. I was in New York, so I couldn't do that. I was talking about video games in New York and all that in our past episode. But this was my first opportunity to go back. And, seeing it now in a fully open state, no restrictions. I'm very impressed still with the way the layout of this land is now that they've got people flowing in and out. There's two main entrances. One that the main entrance that's right next to the Muppets area, and then the other entrance that is by Toy Story Land. And I like that they have that, right? They can flow, that keep it flowing. There's different ways to get in and out of the space. I love how just from the entrance, the main entrance part by the Muppets part, how it's literally designed to look like you're slowly transitioning into Batu. Like you went from Hollywood into, like, it literally is broken up, or like slowly it becomes rock, like
I
as you walk
yeah,
through. It's amazing.
I did see that. That was one of the few things that I've gotten spoiled. It's that transition because I was actually watching a comparison video between um, DHS and Disneyland, and
Yeah.
what are the differences basically? Other than paint, because the paint here, it looks different because of the weather. California doesn't have to worry about afternoon thunderstorms every day and all this crazy weather and this stupid humidity that we get here. So that was like the main difference, was just some of the coloring, and there was a few details here and there that are better here, I find, based on what I saw. But yeah, I did see that tunnel where it transitions over, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Having more time being in there, and I'm sure as I keep going back, I'll notice more and more stuff. And Disney's always also making changes too, right? But like, I was looking around for some little Easter eggs. There's plenty. I don't want to spoil it, but there's plenty of little like fun Easter eggs that if you're hardcore or casual, you'll catch depending on the level of awareness of Star Wars you have. There was actually, I ended up going after I went to there. I ended up reading an article the next day about some of those. There's a list of a couple of those items, and I caught a couple of them. Some of them I've not found yet or seen yet, so I still want to check those out. Um, Wait time's not bad for Smuggler's Run, the one ride that's open. It was about an hour long when I got there, which
Oh,
is
it's not bad at
not
all.
bad at all for a brand new thing. I decided just to go ahead and do the single rider just to get on it. Literally took me maybe 10 minutes to get on the ride, so it was still a great time. Um, I don't recommend that for your first time. If you're trying to get on the ride, I don't recommend. I say wait it out so that way you can get to be the pilot, because that's the best experience you're gonna have, is being one of the two pilots in the ride. But it's still a fun time. And also, if you do the single rider, you miss a pretty cool animatronic. I'll say that much experience that you get, that you don't get to see if you're in the single rider. While I was out there, also, this has been in the headlines for a little bit. I got this, and those of you watching on video, you see this. This is one of
Thermal
the
detonator.
yeah, the thermal detonator from Coca-Cola that they made a partnership with Coca-Cola. This is really cool because Coca-Cola, to be able to partner with Disney, means Disney, right? But like for them to partner with them and allow them to do this to their logo and have it written in in this Star Wars font and changing their IP like this. It's a very exclusive thing, something you can only find in the parks. It was a big deal because they wouldn't let people fly with these things on planes recently. That's been all cleared up.
So we're getting confiscated.
And they were getting confiscated because I mean, look at if those of you watching on video, this thing looks like a detonator.
It looks like a grenade. Yeah.
Grenade,
Looks like a modern grenade. Yeah.
a modern grenade. So it's really cool. So I got one of those. I also when I went for the preview, there was like no merchandise that said Galaxy's Edge on it. They're very much trying to make you feel like, no, you're in Batu. What is Galaxy's Edge? We don't know what that is. You're in this Batu. You're in an outpost. You're in this world, and they really commit to that. So there was like nothing that said Galaxy's Edge, and I was like, I really want to get something that says Galaxy's Edge on it. That like it's a commemorating the opening of this thing. So right outside by Star Tours, and they have a bunch of different items. Got this little fun guy right here, collectible hat. These are as supplies last, so they're not putting these in stock.
Nice.
It actually has the year on the side there for the opening of the land, but it's a really nice item here. But yeah, that's an update for me, guys. Keep if you were following us on social media, I put I think on our Facebook and Instagram story a quick little shot from Galaxy's Edge, trying to give you guys a little fun little look at it. But yeah, man, I'm living a good life here. We're living in a great time, man. We got Star Wars Land, and we got another episode 9 coming out soon. I'm happy.
Yeah, seriously. And then, like I said, it's like geekdom took over, and it's our time now. So you guys got to deal with it.
Well, hopefully, if you're watching the show, you're a fan. Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can't wait to check it out. I'm definitely looking forward to spending some time over at Disney World. Hopefully, in the near future. Is just that. I mean, it's rough, especially when you have kids. I don't know how. I really don't. Yeah. Exactly, money. But I don't know how like families pull it off. Like, not just the money thing, right? Because money, you just work, make money. That's whatever. But just having to bring children around and drag them around the park. I only have one kid. It's rough. I mean, I can just imagine just hauling 3 kids around and just going around the parks. I mean, that had to be a freaking nightmare. But
one on your back, one on your arm.
I know, and I mean, luckily my daughter is pretty well behaved, so she's pretty good.
Absolutely.
But man, I see. Like I've been to Disney many times, and I've seen kids act up, and kids they don't want to act up just because. I mean, they get tired, and when they get tired, they get cranky. I'm the same way. It's like you ask me to go to lunch after 12:30. We're gonna have a problem. So it's just rough. It's just the nature of kids. But I am definitely looking forward to visiting. Hopefully, I'm planning to go. Hopefully, the beginning of next year. Hopefully in January. We are going to go to Magic Kingdom for my daughter's birthday. That's sort of a tradition now, so we're probably going to do that. And I'm waiting for Rise of the Resistance to open so I can just enjoy the entirety of the park. So hopefully in the second, third week in January, I'll see what I can do, and I'll maybe take a day and check it out. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man. Yeah, I don't have much on my end, dude. I finished RE2. Game's great. Again, fantastic game. Played some Battlefront again. That game's still good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. One quick update: I did finish Evangelion because it was on, or Evangelion, whatever. It's on Netflix, and rough watch, man. I mean, that game, that series. I knew that the series, takes a turn for what I thought, right, was that the series was gonna take a turn towards something dark, and it is dark, but it's a completely different thing. It's kind of, I mean, the best way that I could compare it to right now. I mean, the series is 23 years old. I don't want to spoil it still because it's new on streaming, but. And like I said, I didn't finish the series back when I was watching it, and I watched the whole series, including the 2 movies. It's a tough watch. It's not this is an advanced anime for sure. It's a advance. They're trying to make a point across. Nothing like really took me by surprise. Like, oh crap, this is freaking crazy. Like with JoJo, like you watch JoJo and JoJo's like, oh yeah, this is really cool. Like there's nothing cool going on here. It's just that it's hard hitting basically. The series is great. I think the movies are totally unnecessary, but I can see where fan criticism came from. Hideaki Anno got death threats and all these things when the series ended, which is really funny because at the end of the movie, where when the movie is like undoing itself because it's crazy. There's like pictures of the death threats and the letters that Ano got with like die and the Gynax office has been vandalized and all. It's ridiculous. Um, but it's a tough watch. I mean, nothing like anime wise gets me by surprise after Devilman Crybaby because that was a rough watch and that was like a rough watch where I watched it in the morning before going to work. I was depressed all day at work, and I could not fall asleep just thinking of those last two episodes. It was it was too rough, man. Which is good. Again, one of the things that I've been saying, I've said multiple times is if you make something and you don't make me feel anything, it's you failed. I saw a quote recently very similar to that, which I think it was from either a game or anime or something. It was like if you're a creator and you create something and and no one remembers you for it, you've created nothing. So it was like a very very good quote that I heard this week. So um, yeah, I mean, I'm still thinking about it. I just finished the movie this morning, and I was like, oh, I'm still thinking about it. It's a rough watch, but not as rough as Devilman Crybaby. But yeah, I can see where um, this series influenced a lot of anime after that. Definitely, you can see where some other creators got inspiration, and that's what I wanted to see because I went in and I was like, I know this is gonna be a rough watch. I went in knowing what to expect. So I wasn't expecting this to be Mazinger Z or Voltron or anything like that. This is gonna be something else. I mean, the best thing, the more modern thing that I could compare to Joel is Near Automata because Near is the same way. Oh, it's an action game. No, you finish the action game and then it's a character study on humanity and free will and all this stuff. So
Wow.
it's the same way. The series, like the first 15 episodes, it's action, and then it's like, oh, but I'm like super depressed and I'm having these really bad thoughts about things, and then it starts. Yeah. So but yeah, very interesting. I mean, if you're into anime, you probably watched it already. But it's a rough watch. It's advanced, but it's not fun. But it's interesting. So yeah. Joel, let's jump right in, man. So one thing that has been circling around are very strong rumors. I mean, and this is again rumors. Take this with a not a grain of salt, but with a rock salt. You know, this is like full blown rumor territory. But it's been doing the rounds, right? It's been on major websites that have been reporting this, and the rumor is that Apple is interested in buying Sony Pictures
Right.
just because they want to strengthen their catalog for Apple TV Plus. And I think, in my opinion, that this is a no-brainer for Apple, but I'm more interested into what this could be for the MCU because of Spider-Man. So, Joe, man, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts about this, considering the implications for Spider-Man, as you just referenced. I think from a business standpoint, this makes sense. Sony Pictures has really struggled in more recent history here to put out some strong content, memorable content. The big things that they have put out, they've made great success over. But the other things that they put out is just completely negative. It's like there's no in between like good movies. It's like either it's a great movie or it's just like hot trash, you know? So like you've got like Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse that's over here like it's, you know, winning awards and best Oscar animated film of the year, and you got Venom making $1 billion, and then you got Men in Black that just was a trash can of fire.
That thing bombed hard,
Right.
bro. Hard. Yeah.
I had no interest in seeing it, and I still have no interest in seeing it. That's that bad.
And the same thing going back to Sony Animation, you get Into the Spider-Verse, and then you get the Emoji Movie.
Right. No, it's true. It's true.
It's true.
So like looking at it from a business standpoint, like that's why I say like they have properties, they have success, but it's not enough for me to say that they can survive long term on their own if this is going to be the pattern, right? Like you've got to have competent films as well as the great films that you have coming out, right? Look at look at what some of the other studios are putting out. You know, Disney has a stinker every now and then. You know, I'm not going to praise them for everything, right? Every now and then they have a stinker.
John
You know,
Carter,
John Carter, The Good Dinosaur. I mean, there's
The Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger. You know, Disney has stinkers. For every stinker, they've got like 25, really good or great films.
But actually, speaking of stinkers, I watched Aladdin. Uh,
Oh no!
so,
You should have mentioned that in your "What's Up, man."
ooh, all right. Let me go. Sorry, man. Sorry to interrupt, but I got to talk about this movie real quick.
Oh, here we go.
Holy crap! I mean, the movie wasn't bad. It was too long. It was 2 hours. It was too. Even my wife was like, "When is this movie gonna end?" I was like, "I know. We've been here for a while. It's crazy." I mean, I could watch a still picture of. Don't get me wrong. I can watch a still picture of Naomi Scott for 2 hours, and I'm fine, right? But it's tough just because it's too long. I mean, everything was great. The like cinematography was good. The costume design was great. It was shot well. Effects were good. Um, Spoiler alert: no Snake Jafar. That no man. When I saw, it's like they're not gonna give me Snake Jafar. All right, whatever. Just end it.
I wasn't too fond of the Jafar actor as well. To be transparent, he was okay, but he wasn't great.
He
Like I
was
wanted
not. He was
great
not menacing. Yeah,
Jafar.
yeah. He was not menacing at all. At all.
Yeah,
It was a dude with a costume.
yeah, it's kind of cheesy.
Yeah, and I mean, he was not menacing and threatening at all. I gotta say, the way they did Iago was pretty good because they brought it down from, you know, Gilbert Gottfried to being, a parrot that dog. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. For the most part, it was enjoyable. I did not have a bad time watching it, but it was too damn long. It's like there's a lot of filler and unnecessary filler. The changes to Jasmine were good. Like those were fine, right? I mean, that's not gonna freaking fly, right? But
You and I talked about beforehand. I was like, can you do that in this new movie? I don't think
oh
so.
no, no, oh yeah, going from the other one, yeah. You know
Yeah.
what? And I was watching the movie, and it's like, and I was thinking of you, and when we were talking about
Yep.
that
Yep.
specific scene in the movie, which that whole ending sequence is so fantastic on Aladdin, even with even with all that, and it was so bland on this one,
Yeah.
and just like it was just really flat. Like the movie was ups and highs throughout the whole movie, but yeah, that ending sequence was just flat as heck, man. So, but yeah, Aladdin, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're good. So, back to the Sony Pictures point that I was saying, like he's talking about here with like the stinkers and the success, right? Like for the most part, when you look at you look at like a Disney, you look at a consistency of decent films, great films, and every now and then an occasional stinker, right? But with Sony, that's not been the case. So looking at an Apple coming in, if they were to acquire this, I'm not saying that they have great history of doing something phenomenal or anything of that nature, right? We don't really know what Apple's going to bring to the table. They're coming new into the new streaming market and new content market. This is a new territory for them, but that's what excites me, right? That's what excites me about them taking on something like Sony, is that they would bring a new and fresh perspective to it. It's, to me, it's like you have the financial backing to do something special, right? If they want to spend, an atrocious amount of money on a movie, Apple can afford to do that, right? And they can take risks, they can do things differently because this is new territory for them. So from a business standpoint, that's cool. Negatives: the whole Sony, the whole conversation of Spider-Man in the MCU. If this happens, this, to me, nearly deads the entire like, it takes it down another notch of a chance of them
You think
having it.
so?
I strongly think so,
So,
because
so I,
Apple would want to protect it.
but I think the problem with that, Joe, is that the reason why this whole Spider-Man debacle is happening right now is because of the studio heads, and
Right.
and if Apple decides to replace the studio heads, they might as well they can work a deal out.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. And I mean, Apple and Iger have close ties. We mentioned it last week that Iger quit the board, but there's a conflict of interest reasons. There's business reasons behind it. It's just not because he's pissed at Apple. So you don't
So
quit. One does not simply quit
yes.
board of governors. So yeah.
Yes. I agree. But that's what I just said was my opinion. Now, legally wise, there are rumors. I mean, this already is a rumor, but the rumors get even more crazier. Rumors say that supposedly, I've read this thing. I'm like, I don't know if this is a legitimate contract. Supposedly, this is something from the '90s that was agreed to with Sony Pictures. That, look, if this this entity was to now be acquired by somebody else, the original rights of Spider-Man and other characters would be reverted
Revert.
back to Marvel Entertainment.
Okay.
Now, see, if that happens, if that's true, again, this is like rumor on top of rumor, right?
Because that's similar to what happened with Universal and Hulk.
Exactly.
Because they were able to get Hulk back from Universal because Comcast bought Universal from Vivendi, where that deal was done when Vivendi owned Universal. Comcast came in, bought Universal, and then the deals reverted, basically.
Right. So if that happens, Obed, it's like it can go either way. If that's true, and like you're saying, it makes sense because of looking at past business history. To Obed's point, yeah, that's a real strong possibility. That happens, we win, right? Great. So, throw a feast, the sacred calf. We've got the prodigal son returning home. But if that's not true, my fears is that this just now comes to the place where Apple's like, nah, that he's ours. Like, we're gonna make it the way you want, and maybe revisit this in another 15 years. That could be, well. So we'll see. But this is interesting and to be watched, because we could be reporting soon. Hey guys, a
Yeah.
deal's been made. We don't know.
Yeah, just as a reminder, if that happens, Apple would own Funimation, Manga Entertainment, Rovio Animation, amongst others. So
Amazing.
yeah, I mean that's the thing that could happen. Could you imagine Dragon Ball Z being exclusive to Apple TV, or Dragon Ball Super or whatever the
Oh
next
yeah,
is going to be?
they would get so
Attack on
many great
Titan,
deals.
exclusive to Apple TV. Sign me up, bro.
Plus, with
I
the
mean,
strong
seriously.
international pull that Apple has, like, they can pull out a lot of exclusive content, and it'd be great.
Yeah, man. And going back, Sony has an extensive library of TV shows. That may be something that they're after. They have the Jeopardy and all this stuff that they do for TV as well. So it's a big deal if it happens. It'll definitely strengthen Apple TV for sure. it'll put a wrench on the whole MCU thing. But I think that at the end of the day, it'll be like what you said. It has to be in some clause somewhere, and maybe that's why Sony Pictures still like holding on to their life because they don't want to lose Spider-Man. And that could be a possibility, but I'm pretty sure that there's something there where Apple can definitely come through this one. So be interesting stuff, man.
For sure.
Streaming wars are heating up for sure. Joel, just as a quick PSA and reminder, the Nintendo Switch Lite comes out tomorrow. That is pretty much been reviewed all over the place already. And for the most part, I want to say it's overwhelmingly positive. So yeah, that's the thing. Of course, that there's already been tests. It's like this thing's not gonna display the TV at all. You can, however, plug in the Bluetooth, the third-party Bluetooth devices to the USB-C for headsets, and that'll still work. You can plug in USB docks to plug in controllers, and that'll still work. But no TV out at all. So that's again confirming what Nintendo said. That's that. And yeah, I mean that looks cool, Joe. I was actually looking at accessories today. It's like I don't need this thing, but I would like my daughter to have one. But she's just turning 5. I don't want to give her like her own gaming thing. She has a tablet. She's probably gonna get a new one for Christmas. So, I mean, I'm just gonna hold off into actually giving her something gaming related until a little bit later. In the meantime, she can play, with me on another Switch. So, but yeah, the little device looks great. And man, I saw the size comparison with the Vita. It is like almost identical size as Vita. It's just a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful console. The colors I really like. Not that that's the reason why I like it, but it's a plus, right? It's cool. And the price point, like it's cheaper. It's
Yeah.
meant to not be a complete Switch. It's meant to be the Switch that you just literally play it. I mean, it doesn't really switch, right? The Switch does the switch,
The
but
Switch doesn't switch.
it's such a switch, but it's cool because like it serves its purpose. The purpose of it is to be a handheld console that you can play all the games you like on Switch. There's no functionality differences that you can play all the same games, right? It's just not being able to switch it, not being able to put it on that dock, play it on the big screen, and have some of those native functionality in that way. But really, like for the price point of what you're getting, this is great for people who have kids that hey, you know what, little Billy doesn't usually play on the screen. He's usually playing this while mom's watching, Real Housewives of Atlanta or something. I don't know, but it serves its purpose as what it's there for. So I'm a fan of this. Like it's cheap, it's fair, no complaints from me. This is a great choice, and it's coming out right around the corner, sir. It will be in
Yeah.
people's homes in a couple hours.
In a few hours, yeah. And by the way, the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is getting fantastic, stellar reviews as well.
Wow.
So we got a 9.4 from IGN. It's an 88 on Metacritic right now with 66 reviews. So that's pretty good. A few hundreds here and there. So that game, I mean, it's an old school type of Zelda game. So if you want to go back and play it, I heard fantastic things about it. I never played it when I owned a Game Boy. So, but I know my cousin. I have a cousin he's a Zelda nut, and then I know he said it's like, oh man, I played that Zelda on the Game Boy. That was really good. So everyone that played it back in the day told me it was really good. And again, I mean that I guess the proof is in the pudding when this thing's still reviewing hundreds, 20 some years after the fact. So I think it's the perfect day for that game to be released because it releases with the new console. And yeah, also, Joel, I really want to get that Astral Chain that came out. The game looks fantastic and also got fantastic reviews. So it's on my Christmas list. So we'll make it happen.
Very good.
Yeah. Joel, let's go ahead and take a quick break and we will be right back. And we are back. So we recently talked about GameStop not doing too well, and store closings and layoffs, and Game Informer getting gutted and whatnot. Well, this week it surfaced that they've said that they were going to rebuild their stores and redo their basically their store layout. So a video got out this week of a store in Oklahoma that received the makeover treatment from GameStop corporate, I guess. And yeah, man, it looks pretty good. It looks very appealing to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I really liked it. I asked you about it the other day when I saw. I was like, dude, have you seen this? Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like when we talked about in our last episode, I was transparent. Like, I don't really know what you do to save this, but you've got to do something about the store experience. And I talked about how before, like when I used to go to GameStop, I remember like before I bought a used game or something, I would put it in right there and play away and just it was more experiential, and like you felt like you were hanging out, right? And like now it just kind of feels like cluttered and whatever.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like this is cool because it's a retro environment. It appeals to the new and modern gamers, with the content for them that they enjoy playing. But it also has some retro games, including retro consoles. They had literally analog televisions lined up with some classic consoles for people just to sit down and play and hang out. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, right? Like it
yeah.
looks like as fellow nerds, we would walk into this space and be like, oh, cool. I can be here, hang out, buy something, and leave, right? Like this is like the Starbucks, right? Like Starbucks gives you walk in, you have this nice little cafe feeling, you get your cup of coffee, they're making money consistently, and you feel like you've had a little relaxing time, right? That's how I could see GameStop being if this is the way it's gonna go. You walk in, you relax a little bit, and you leave with a purchase, right? So every time people are coming in for an experience, they're also leaving with some dollars leaving there. So that's a great way of bringing people in, Obed. I'm a fan of this. What do you think?
Yeah, man, they even got snacks and everything. So it is truly a hangout place, really. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot, a lot, a lot. Because, like what you said, the problem is that every time I go to GameStop, I freaking trip over everything. All the walls are covered in crap, and it's just not. It's just ugly. It's just an ugly, ugly store. Um, I and I'm trying to go back to like thinking about the EB games back in the day.
Yeah.
My favorite store back in the day was Babbage's, and that was a store that was bought by GameStop, of course, because they bought everything. And Babbage's was like that. Babbage's they had they had setups for each system, and all the systems where the way the store was arranged was like basically at least the one I used to frequent. It was all consoles on the right and all PC games on the left side. Back when the big box PC games came out, and I liked how they organized all those games. And Baba just didn't sell used games back then, so it was just all new games with a setup, so you can Sonic 3 came out, play Sonic 3. Um, all this stuff that, back in the day, we used to get the Sega CD. It was like, oh, you want to check out Sega CD? Yeah, you go check out Sega CD. So that was the stores that I grew up with. This reminds me a lot of that. Plus, having the t-shirts, because back then you couldn't find a nerdy t-shirt anywhere. I think the first place that came out with that was probably like Hot Topic or something.
Yeah.
So, um, so yeah, I like it. It looks clean. It looks decluttered, and that was the problem. The floor looks nice. The lighting looks good. I really like the a portal they have there, where it's like if they don't have anything is the item you're looking for in store, you can just order it from the site, and they'll ship it to store. They're taking the right steps, in my opinion, man. I can't wait for those stores to hit here because
Yeah.
I really want to check them out.
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
see people literally like leaving their jobs after work and just hanging out or on their breaks. Like it literally looks like that kind of a place that actually would be fun.
Yeah, Yeah, I know that there's a couple of places here in Florida that are uh, I want to say family friendly, right? Because we do have things like joysticks and Player One and all this stuff here in Central Florida, but those are more of barcades, so they're not necessarily family friendly. Um, but going to what the old arcade used to be, so that's been lost, right? Your sense of community is now online, and that's fine, whatever. But just going out, man, and trying new things and trying a new game on a big TV, or hey, I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 5. I want to check out how was the first one was back in PS1, and just go to GameStop and be able to play that game on a retro TV and whatnot. That's pretty cool to me, man. So yeah, I'm hoping they do good. Again, they are closing some stores. I'm sure that we're gonna hit with some closures in the area, but at the same time, if it's one, to save the company, of course, and two, to better the experience, because that was part of the problem, where you go in and they try to sell you this scratch warranty and a Game Informer subscription and all this stuff that you don't really need. Make it about community, or reach out to, again, and they talked about reaching out to local esports leagues and community events and whatnot. So they should definitely keep trying to do that. And so far I like what I see, man.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, there's apparently that one that we saw was from Oklahoma. I believe I heard that there's one in the New York area that has already been revamped as well. So they're starting to pop up. I'm pretty sure that they're probably going to be done before Christmas, because this is like a week remodel sort of thing. Basically just put everything in storage, remodel the store, bring everything back out. I can't wait. I'm curious to see what the local one um, that it's the closest to me, or not the closest to me, but the one that I frequent here. Um, how that's going to be, because that store, I remember back a few years ago, that store was basically double the size. They split the store in half, and they built that failed Mac shop that GameStop built. Oh, it was a Cricket Wireless before that, back when GameStop owned Cricket. Um, they changed to that Mac thing that they did, and then it was a Thing Geek, and that closed a couple of weeks ago. And so I'm curious to see if they're gonna go back to that space and just double the size of the store, because that is a very, very high traffic store. So I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with that. And I believe they are renting both spaces there at that shopping mall. So we'll see, man. I'm excited. So we'll see how that comes out. Joe, speaking of things that are kind of sort of failing, E3, there's a document floating around that the ESA sent to journalists and I guess influencers. I don't like it. I don't like that word. About how they're going to modernize E3, basically, and bring more attendance. Attendance have been down. The event hasn't been what it's been before. Of course, Sony's not there anymore. Microsoft is hosting their own events offsite. There's a lot of people. Lines are too long for games, and they definitely needed to restructure. Well, now they are going to restructure into more of a, based on this, what this document says, right? Of course, we're going on what news reports are, and this is, you can find the report over in Eurogamer. They're trying to build this thing more as a, like a fan fest, sort of like a PAX, almost, sounds like. And I think it's a step in the right direction too, but they need to be able to control it, man, because based on things that I've heard from E3 and what you told me from Comic Con, they definitely need to nail this one if they want to go that direction. Joel, what do you think?
Yeah, I read through the list of the kind of the bullet points of what some of the highlighted stuff that were on that leaked memo per se of what they wanted to make changes, right? And it did remind me of some of it, of how Comic-Con is, and some of the attention around it, right? Like some of the things that were talked about on the list here is there may be a strong focus on celebrities and other influential people to attend, right? Comic Con's been a place where it's like, oh, guess what? You see this person and that person there that's associated with these products. So that brings a certain hype to it, right? And a specialness to it. That's cool. Some people said there's another thing talked about having a day just for industry professionals, and then it's open to the public. To your point, Obed, about having this chaotic rush of people just being at this convention. I've never gone to it. I'd love to go to it, but it's not fun when you know going into something that it's just going to be a lot of time just spent in lines. It's cool you're around people you like and stuff, but you want to enjoy as much as you can, experience as much as you can, right, while you're out there at these things. So creating an environment where industry professionals can preview this stuff beforehand, and then they kind of get out of the way and let everybody else enjoy this stuff, and they can do their other things. That's a smart move. And then lastly, the other one that stuck out to me was the hubs, right? Like the idea of having these hubs where instead of these traditional booths or whatever, you have to walk by each of these things. It's like, no, like I go in this hub and it's got all of these guys collectively together and these guys collectively together, these experiences. It sounds a lot more organized. So it sounds like people are gonna have a great time from an experience standpoint. I think my main thing, Obed, is like, look, what about the shows, the panels? Because there's been some really good stuff that always comes out of it. But how are you going to encourage it not to just be people buying time to talk about things that nobody cares about, right? Like, how do you encourage them to make it this, like, to make it like the Comic-Con Hall H? You're in here, you get this amazing show. Aside from just, hey guys, we're whatever, we're
So
dancing.
easy. You bring in Greg Miller.
Oh, crickets.
Yeah. Bring in Greg Miller yelling at everyone. Um, yeah, it sounds good. I'm hoping that they're able to restructure and this thing will play out. But yeah, going on what you said. What about the shows? What about the big E3 presentations? Of course, we're gonna get a Nintendo Direct, right? That's a given. But is Sony gonna follow up? That they're gonna do another experience. Or are they gonna be back at all? Are they gonna do like their own separate thing and show state of play and move along? Is Microsoft gonna be the only one there next year showing two consoles or whatever they're showing? So and no games and yeah and Game Pass. So I mean, no, Game Pass is doing pretty good, man. They've got some good games coming in. Gotta say, it's pretty impressive. If I had a decent PC, I'd probably just try it out on PC, but I don't want to finagle around with settings. So, um, yeah, man, it sounds good. I mean, hopefully they can turn it around and make it fun because it sounds like people go there and they just don't have fun. It's like, oh yeah, I played Minecraft because that was the only game that didn't have a line. I don't want to play Minecraft. So yeah, I mean, if they address that issue, and if you have people still going, like, and by people I mean publishers still going in and showing their new stuff, I mean, then it may be worth it. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see next year. We'll find out pretty soon, I guess, in a year and a few months.
Time will tell.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of state of play, Joel, there is going to be a state of play next week on the 24th. Rumor is that this will be the reveal for the release date for The Last of Us 2. That's been the main thing that I've heard out of this state of play. Um, I mean, we may get a couple of small announcements here and there, a couple of updates, but I don't necessarily see anything major coming out of this except wait for our next state of play. We'll talk about the future then, and that state of play will probably be in like February or something. So, yeah, what do you think, man?
Yeah, State of Play. I just love the title of it, dude. I feel like it's like a State of the Union for the PlayStation community. It's so great. I think that this is cool because it's right before the holidays, so it's a great preview of what's to come for the holidays, right? Like, let's re-energize our fan base. Let's re-energize the people. Let's let them think about what's to come, that's already been talked about, but give them more and more and more and more to feast on and get them hungry for purchasing this new content, games that are scheduled to be released. Right? You don't need to really announce much new, like you said, Obed. We don't expect anything out of this. I don't, personally,
Yeah.
it's going to be massively new announcement.
We're probably
But
gonna get we're probably gonna get like Christmas bundles.
yeah,
Oh, there's a Christmas bundle for PS4 and PS4 Pro. There's a rumor that PS4 Pro, I think it's being discounted right now to 350, and I think they're gonna make that permanent. So there may be that, and a bundle, and then maybe a price cut on the standard PS4. So that's a possibility. Also, I mean, they can probably just give us a release date for Persona 5 Royal. So that might be a thing. But on that, I really don't see any major announcements other than the Last of Us 2 thing, because that's pretty much confirmed by Neil Druckmann already tweeted out. I was like, oh yeah, we'll see on the 24th. So yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It's exciting. And speaking of PlayStation and exciting stuff, Joe, there's another rumor that's been doing the rounds. This is a very similar rumor to the Xbox Scarlet rumor that was going around a few weeks ago, that basically states that there will be two consoles. There will be a standard console and a pro console at launch. Um, we talked about it, and I didn't process this until you told me. It's like, oh yeah, they're probably gonna do it like the iPhone, where you don't get a middle of the year refresh. You get two models on release on the same date now. So you get a regular model and a pro model. And this may be what they're doing. Um I don't see anything wrong with it because Apple's doing it and it works for Apple, right? Rumor is that Microsoft is going to do the same thing. They're going to release a lower spec model of their next machine and a high spec model. So what are the possibilities, Joel? Are we looking at, apples and oranges, or are we looking at, a baseline experience for both, but you get the 120 frames 8K thing that they're talking about with the Pro?
Yeah, I do hope it is that the 8K rumors. I hope that's going to be factual for the PS5 Pro. I mean, regardless, you're going to probably have some really cool just experiential changes, right? Aside from hardware changes for the PS5 that will carry over for both, which is what's great about even like just PS4 in general, right? Like you have this great experience between PS4 and PS4 Pro. It's the same type of thing, right? Same functionality, whatever the changes they made to the controller, all that, right? Carries over. But when we're talking about like you talk about Apple, and I mentioned to you about having that similar model of having the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11 Max, right? Like the iPhone 11 Pro and all this, right? So the way that they get you on those things is by having those visible differences, larger screen, colors, camera. So if you're gonna do something like this for PS5, you have to do the same, right? You have to give me a significant enough in change in visual specs for me to put that money out. But I do like the idea of having it side by side, because I think that's been one of the issues that people have gone mad at in general with the technology industry as a whole, right? Like, okay, I just bought a new Xbox, and then 2 years later, you're like, oh, guess what, guys? We've got the new and improved. It's still an Xbox, and you're like, wait a second, I just literally just bought this on Black Friday. I should have waited. How was I supposed to know this is coming? You anger the consumer, and it's not something you want to do. But if you make the consumer feel like you're being honest with them, like, look, you don't have to get this new thing, but we're gonna be honest with you. We're gonna release this all at the same time, and then make it the consumer's choice. Then
Yep.
people can't be mad, because then they're like, okay, well, we get to choose.
Yeah. And one thing that we don't realize is that this has been going on with a, a plethora of tech products. Like this has been happening with TVs for forever. You would get Samsung, say, or Sony, for example, right? Because I'm more familiar with Sony, and we'll talk Sony TVs. Um, you would get your Bravia, 800 series or the 750 series Bravia 4K TV. But then you also got your A1 OLED and your XBR 950 or whatever. So and they're all released the same day because all those TVs are released same day basically. LG does the same thing. They have their uh, the Sam's Club $500 TV, and they have their $2,000 OLED. So and they're again TVs release all the same day. Um, Again, Apple products does do it all the time because they do it for their MacBooks. They do it for their iPads. Not necessarily with their iPads. The iPad's the only thing that changes the storage, um, but all the TV manufacturers do it. Same thing goes for headphones. Sony releases headphones this year, wireless headphones. You would get your normal, the $100 headphones, and you get your $400 noise canceling, deep bass, ultra headphones. Bose does the same thing. Pretty much all the major electronics manufacturers do it for all of their products. So for consoles to do it, it's um, I mean, it's not necessarily a novel concept. They're just following trends that have been normal for years and years on pretty much all electronic platforms. So, yeah, I think giving people the option: do you want a $400 console or do you want a $600 console? And I'm pretty sure that there's people that are going to fork out the $600 for the 8K whatever. Based on specs, if I see it, if again, I'm not a huge frame rate nut. I don't have an 8K TV, and I don't need 120 frames a second. 60 is good for me. Just getting the base, if that would be good enough for me, sure, whatever. It all depends on what the final product is, but yeah, I mean, Xbox is probably going to do the same thing. Nintendo now is doing the same thing, technically, with the having the flagship Switch and the Switch Lite both coexisting. Um, yeah, I mean, and I'm thinking about it, right? And every model or every device that we use has the same thing. That you can buy a cheap Google Home little dot, Echo Dot, or you can get the awesome Echo display with the screen on it. Every manufacturer does it. So consoles to follow along is just natural for me, man.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's giving that choice, but something that like it's a reality of just technology is in general, right? And especially in the gaming space, it's like, yeah, you're giving us a choice of the standard hardware day one, choose between either one of these versions. But yeah, like reality is, yeah, maybe in a couple years there's like a slim version or something like that, right? That's fine, but you're not changing like the functionality.
Exactly.
You're just giving some minor modifications. It's nothing that would anger you, but just I think if you say, okay, here's the slim and 8K, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's right around the corner. So this is a smart strategy of keeping the consumer happy.
So the best example that I can give you, and this is gaming related, are video cards.
Yeah.
So every year, and or every couple of years, Nvidia will release three new cards, three new GTX cards or RTX cards or whatever they're called now. You get uh your 2050, your 2060, your 2070, and your 2080. So you got four different cards, and they're all released same day basically. And then a few months later, they'll probably release like an RTX Max or whatever, or a special edition of a card or something. So, video cards do it already, where you have tiers. for consoles to follow suit is just natural, man. And I mean, this hasn't been the case, but um, I think the time is right for them to follow that model. So that's my opinion. So yeah, I mean, I necessarily don't see a negative on it. So
Okay, yeah, I agree.
yeah, Joe, that is what we have for this 105th episode of No Load Time, man. If you want to go ahead and plug us in.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you again for taking time out of your day to watch and listen to us here on No Load Time. We want to invite you to stay connected with us. Stay subscribed by subscribing to the audio version on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Also, subscribe to our video version here on YouTube. Make sure to be a follower on our social media at No Load Time. That's at No Load Time on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. It's a great way of being informed on when our latest episodes drop. In addition to that, we also want to invite you to send your feedback. Send an email to noloadtime@gmail.com. That's noloadtime@gmail.com. And it's a great way for you to send in questions, comments that we may even be able to address live here on the show. Thank you so much for your continued support, and we can't wait to see you on episode 106.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you again next time.